Morning sunlight filled the billionaire mansion hall as the maid cleaned quietly, unaware that one portrait would soon shake every truth from the past. The maid stopped suddenly, staring at a large golden frame on the wall, heart racing as familiar eyes inside the portrait felt impossible. The maid whispered softly, "Why is my mother Maria's photo hanging inside this billionaire mansion?" Confusion spread like fire. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments what time is it and where are you watching from. Let's start. The billionaire entered the hall and noticed the maid frozen in front of the portrait, pointing with trembling hands toward Maria's face. Tears gathered in the maid's eyes while the question returned again, louder this time. "Why is Maria's portrait here?" The billionaire looked shocked, face pale, eyes locked on the portrait as if an old secret had suddenly awakened. Silence filled the mansion as both stood there, one demanding truth, and the other remembering a past buried for decades. The maid spoke again, voice breaking, explaining Maria worked 2 jobs to raise a child, but never mentioned any billionaire. The billionaire slowly stepped closer to the portrait, staring deeply at Maria's painted smile with visible guilt. Servants in the hallway quietly watched the scene, sensing something serious was unfolding inside the powerful mansion. At that moment, the billionaire whispered Maria's name softly, and the maid realized this mansion was hiding a painful family truth. The maid wiped tears quickly, but eyes remained locked on Maria's portrait, because every memory of childhood suddenly returned. Maria raised the maid inside a tiny apartment, working day and night. Yet Maria always protected one secret carefully. The maid remembered many nights when Maria stared silently at an old photograph, then quickly hid the picture again. As the maid stood in the mansion hall today, those strange childhood moments suddenly began making painful sense. The billionaire looked uneasy now, walking slowly around the room as if searching for courage to speak about Maria. The maid stepped closer to the billionaire and asked again, voice shaking, "How does the billionaire know Maria?" For a moment the billionaire closed eyes, breathing deeply as memories from decades ago returned with heavy regret. Long ago, Maria once worked inside this very mansion, not as a maid only, but as someone deeply trusted. The maid felt shock rising inside the chest because Maria never mentioned working inside any billionaire mansion. The billionaire touched the frame gently, almost respectfully, as if Maria's presence still lived inside the house. Servants quietly disappeared from the hallway, sensing a family story far deeper than anyone inside the mansion knew. Then the billionaire finally spoke again, voice low and trembling, saying, "Maria was the bravest woman this house ever knew." The maid stepped closer to the portrait again, heart beating fast as Maria's calm painted face watched silently from the wall. The billionaire stood quietly beside the frame, eyes heavy with memories that had clearly never disappeared with time. Years ago, Maria arrived at this mansion searching for work, carrying dignity, strength, and quiet determination. Even the richest people inside the city quickly respected Maria's honesty, discipline, and fearless voice. Maria worked hard every single day, but Maria never behaved like someone afraid of powerful people. The billionaire remembered how Maria once defended a young worker treated unfairly by a powerful manager. That moment shocked everyone inside the mansion because no employee had ever spoken with such courage. From that day forward, Maria became someone unforgettable inside the house, not just another worker. The maid listened carefully, tears growing again, realizing Maria's past was far bigger than childhood stories. The billionaire paused again, staring deeply at Maria's portrait as guilt slowly returned to the face. The mansion felt strangely quiet now, as if the walls themselves remembered every moment Maria lived here. Then the billionaire finally admitted something painful, saying one decision long ago changed Maria's life forever. The maid felt fear rising slowly because the billionaire's voice carried deep regret, as if Maria's story inside this mansion ended painfully. The billionaire walked slowly toward the tall window, staring outside quietly, while old memories from decades ago returned clearly. Maria was not only brave and honest, Maria also protected someone very important, living inside this powerful billionaire family. One stormy night, chaos suddenly entered the mansion, alarms ringing loudly while panic spread across every hallway. A small child from the billionaire family became trapped during that frightening moment when confusion filled the house. Servants froze with fear and uncertainty, but Maria ran directly toward danger without thinking about personal safety. Maria carried the terrified child through smoke and broken glass, while others stood frozen, shocked by such fearless courage. That single moment saved a life inside the billionaire family, and everyone inside the mansion witnessed Maria's bravery. The maid listened carefully, heart racing, realizing Maria once performed a heroic act never mentioned during childhood. The billionaire's eyes slowly filled with regret because Maria's story inside the mansion did not end with gratitude. Instead, a cruel misunderstanding happened later that changed Maria's life forever and forced Maria to leave this house. The billionaire finally turned toward the maid again, ready to reveal the painful truth hidden inside this mansion for years. The maid felt confusion growing stronger because Maria never mentioned any misunderstanding or painful ending connected to this mansion. The billionaire took a slow breath and admitted something shocking happened just days after Maria saved the child. A valuable diamond necklace suddenly disappeared from the mansion vault, creating panic across the billionaire household. Security guards searched every room, questioning every worker, while suspicion quietly began pointing toward Maria. Maria stood calm during the accusations, repeating the same words again and again, saying Maria never stole anything. But powerful people inside the mansion refused to listen because fear of scandal mattered more than truth. The billionaire lowered the head slowly, admitting that silence during that moment became the greatest regret of life. Maria was dismissed from the mansion that same night, leaving quietly without anger, but with deep sadness. The maid's hands began trembling after hearing this painful truth about Maria's final night in the mansion. Childhood suddenly made sense now, because Maria always avoided speaking about wealthy families or past jobs. The billionaire looked back at Maria's portrait again, whispering that the truth about the necklace appeared years later, and that hidden truth would soon reveal why Maria's portrait still hangs inside this billionaire mansion today. Years later, during a quiet renovation, workers opened an old storage room inside the mansion and discovered a dusty jewelry box hidden deep behind forgotten cabinets. Inside that box lay the missing diamond necklace, untouched for years, proving Maria never stole anything from the mansion vault that night. The shocking truth spread quickly across the house, but the discovery arrived far too late to repair the damage done to Maria. When the billionaire heard the news, guilt crushed his chest because he remembered Maria leaving the mansion silently, without anger. No apology had been given that night, and the bravest woman who once saved a child had been treated like a criminal. The billionaire ordered Maria's portrait painted and placed inside the main hall, so he would face his mistake every single day. Every morning he walked past the portrait, remembering how fear, silence, and pride destroyed the life of an innocent woman. The maid stood frozen while hearing this truth, realizing her mother carried this heavy injustice quietly for many years. Maria never told the full story to her daughter, choosing instead to protect her child from the bitterness of that painful past. The billionaire slowly turned toward the maid, his voice shaking as he realized the woman standing before him was Maria's daughter. He admitted he had searched for Maria many times to apologize, but she had already disappeared from the city completely. Then the billionaire whispered one final truth that made the maid's heart pound with fear and disbelief. 7. The billionaire finally spoke with a trembling voice, confessing that Maria did not just work in the mansion. She once trusted him with a secret that changed both their lives forever. Many years ago, after the night she saved the child during the mansion fire, Maria became someone the family trusted more than anyone else living inside those walls. The maid listened carefully while tears rolled down her face, because every new word revealed a past her mother had protected in silence for decades. The billionaire admitted that after Maria was accused of theft, he secretly investigated the truth, but fear of scandal stopped him from defending her publicly. Instead of protecting the woman who saved his own family, he allowed powerful relatives to force Maria out of the mansion without justice. Years later, when the necklace was discovered, the billionaire realized his silence destroyed the life of the bravest woman he had ever known. The maid's heart pounded as she imagined her mother leaving the mansion alone that night, carrying humiliation and heartbreak without telling anyone. The billionaire then revealed he searched for Maria across the city for years, hoping to apologize and restore her honor publicly. But every attempt failed because Maria disappeared quietly, choosing a simple life far away from the wealthy world that once betrayed her trust. Standing in front of the portrait now, the billionaire said the painting remained in the hall, not as decoration, but as a reminder of his greatest mistake. The maid wiped her tears slowly, realizing her mother's quiet strength had shaped her entire life without ever revealing the painful truth. Then the billionaire said one final sentence that shocked the maid completely and made the entire mansion fall silent again. The billionaire looked directly into the maid's tearful eyes and finally confessed that Maria was not only an employee in this mansion, but the woman who once protected his entire family. He admitted that the child Maria saved during the terrible mansion fire many years ago was actually his own son, the heir of the powerful billionaire family. For years, the family celebrated the child's survival, but quietly erased Maria's name from the story after the false accusation destroyed her reputation. The maid stood frozen while hearing this truth, realizing her mother carried the pain of saving a life, yet losing her dignity on the same night. The billionaire's voice shook with regret as he admitted that his silence that night was the cowardice he regretted every single day of his life. He explained that Maria's portrait remained on the mansion wall, so he would never forget the woman whose courage saved his family. Tears rolled down the maid's face as she imagined her mother walking away from the mansion, choosing dignity instead of fighting powerful people. The billionaire slowly stepped forward and promised that the truth about Maria would finally be announced publicly to restore her honor. Servants watching from the hallway realized that the quiet maid standing there was the daughter of the bravest woman this mansion had ever known. The maid looked at Maria's portrait again and whispered softly that her mother never needed riches because her strength already made her extraordinary. In that moment, the mansion finally felt different, as if justice had returned years late, but still powerful enough to honor Maria's forgotten courage. The story ends here, but the mystery lives on. Like, subscribe, and return for the next unforgettable journey.